Hello, Ben here. Hope everyone is having a brilliant Christmas and welcome to Benjy's Cafe Podcast for the second festive bonus episode. Joining me is the perfect guest to spread some Christmas cheer, the actor Leon Craig. Leon is currently starring as Polly La Plonk in Beauty and the Beast at the Grand Opera House, York, and is one of the UK's most loved pantomime dames. In 2006, he was a semi-finalist in the BBC's Voice of Musical Theatre, and Leon's theatre credits include the premiere of the musical In Dreams at Leeds Playhouse, King Herod in the arena tour of Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice's Jesus Christ Superstar, and Sandra Bullock in the West End and UK tour production of Everybody's Talking About Jamie. Leon was also in the original London cast of Disney's Aladdin at the Prince Edward Theatre, playing the Genie on numerous occasions. In this episode, we discuss the joy and magic of performing in pantomime, the importance of health and wellness in the demanding world of theatre, and the significance of joy and kindness in our lives.
Spread a bit of kindness. The world is a hard world. It's getting harder. Not just in the world, the industry that we do, in the world of panto, in the world of musicals, in the world of anything, everyday life, whether it's the industry of what we do or in an office or in a building site or whatever, we just have to just keep spreading love and joy. It's important, we have to.
Leon is one of the kindest men in show business, and it's a real treat to sprinkle some Christmas joy with him and you all in this special episode. Welcome to Benjy's Cafe Podcast, Leon Craig. Happy Christmas, Leon. How are you?
Christmas! Merry Christmas! How are you?
I am very well. I've gone from a castrato. I'm down in my Barry White voice today. We are mid-panto, Leon. We are dames to die for. My goodness, you're far more attractive than me in a frock, I have to say. But how's it going? Are you surviving? It's a crazy time of year, isn't it, for us dames?
Yeah. As you know, Ben, absolutely. It's a marathon, isn't it? Even as soon as you get into rehearsals, it is a marathon. Once we get into tech, I always say the rehearsal room is a really great safe space to build your show together with your cast, certainly with your comic. And then I like to feel like we're in a really good shape. And then once we get into the theatre, a tech is great. But then it's also a big change for us because then we have to have our quick change area and we have to choreograph the show with yourself and also with your dresser. You want to make sure that he or she or they, them are very comfortable with what we're going to do, because as you know, as soon as you come off stage, it's literally zips down, shoes off, new jewellery, new wig, etc., and then it's straight back into the new one, and then you're straight back on stage. So I think a lot of people sometimes think, oh, you're not really speaking to me backstage. We don't have time.
It is funny though, isn't it? Because this is my second year as Dame Leon, and that kind of exhausted me more than the actual being on stage performing. Just the on and off of costumes. It's quite an isolated plot, isn't it, really? Even though it's joyous on stage, that I actually found that once we were up and running, I didn't actually have that much time to chat to other members of the company.
You're right, absolutely. That's the thing. It's exactly that. And honestly, my dresser this year, Eleanor, she's fantastic. And she is your saving grace. She has my water ready. She has my fans ready. She has my tissues to block me down. She is great. Plus, she tells me a new joke every day, which are horrendous, I have to say, which I love her for. But she's...
Leon, those jokes are probably funnier than mine on stage, so I'd embrace those if I were you.
You probably stole some from her from last year. She dressed you last year, I think.
She did. She's brilliant. My whole opener is her, so please thank her when you see her, please. And York, my goodness, that's what a beautiful place to be at Christmas. I know the schedule's busy, but are you having a bit of a chance to have a little nose around?
I'll be honest, yes. So I've had a very quick chance to turn around and have a wander around, but it's been, I've not had a chance to do everything. There's so many things I want to do, and some people come in on the days, we come back in the next day, and some people I went on the cat trail, or I went on the ghost trail, or I went to the dungeons, or I went to the minister, and I haven't done anything. I've done the Christmas markets, I've stuffed my face on my days off, I've had lots of sleep and water, but there are things I do want to do, but I just haven't had the time, because it's also catching up with life as well, isn't it? It's like you do panto, but then you have to Christmas shop as well. And I try to ideally do everything before I arrive, but then I still like to spread the love and Christmas joy, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
But it's interesting because it's almost like self-preservation, isn't it? That I've learnt kind of throughout my whole year, to be honest, Leon. It's just you have to look after yourself, don't you? And sometimes that's saying no to a cast drink or a little afternoon out on a day off. There's actually a beautiful joy I find in having some solo time, relaxing and just recharging, because my goodness, you need it, don't you?
You do, especially if it's a 10:30 show the next morning. You know, and as you know yourself, Ben, you do quite a lot of children's school shows, and you have to have so much energy. And it's obviously, as you know, with your opener, it's a lot of the kids don't understand it. The teachers, are, obviously, of course, they get it, but it's a very different way, isn't it? And you have to change your. I do certainly mine. You have to change your spot as well to suit what the teachers and what the kids want. So that's also a new mindset as well when you're doing that. But absolutely, I think when you finish the show every night, I do tend to go and have. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke. I am literally like an athlete in panto. I always say to myself, I have to. I've lost weight this year as well, which is wonderful. And that was just purely as I'm getting older, darling. She's in the 40s now, so you know all these things start to creep in, don't they? So you know, but you do. You have to just say to yourself, actually. Yeah, it's coming to Christmas. Everybody knows their own body. You have to treat it well. And panto season is probably one of the hardest forms of theatre anybody can do, certainly as a dame. So you have to.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I'm over 19 months alcohol-free now, Leon. And just curious, have you... Thank you, Leon. Have you ever drunk? I mean, my goodness, what I love about doing panto alcohol-free is that I'm not hungover. I don't have that anxiety on stage for those early morning school shows. My goodness, they would be tough. But it just gives me so much energy and actually makes me feel a bit more creative. Just thinking, you know what, I'm going to embrace this, and having the energy and clear-headedness to kind of not improvise, but just play off a crowd each performance.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never drunk. No, I haven't. I don't know if it's a family tradition. Nobody seems to drink in my family. So it's been great, really. And I just survive on. I don't drink. I tend to have like a fizzy drink, like a Coke Zero or something, which gets me through. But for me, I just I tend to just have like the odd few sweets backstage. I think it's just the drive of the show. It's so busy that you sometimes even forget to eat. But for me, it's my water. My water and sleep are the two important. It's water, sleep, and steam. If you get vocally tired.
Oh, yeah.
Are the most important things,
100%. Yeah, I'll steam before every show, and they say to call it my bong. They probably think, what's he up to? But again, it's so important, that ritual of steaming, isn't it? Water, you say, and also eating's quite tricky. Like when they bring out all the interval mince pies in between shows, I'm back in the green room, I'm like, oh my god. But of course, as soon as the corset goes back on for the second show, my acid is rife. I'm like, I just can't do it. I can't have those treats, which for my middle-aged hips is probably a good thing, Leon.
No, you're always running. I see you. You're always running, and you look fabulous. You really do. And again, congratulations on being sober for so long. That's fantastic. It really is.
Ah,
it really is.
That's so kind. It's just given me a new lease of life, more energy. I've always loved life and trying to make people happy, but it's kind of everything's so heightened now, my emotions, and going back to what you were saying about the school shows and just seeing the delight of those little ones. Maybe in previous years I'd be thinking, oh God, it's early, my goodness, but actually seeing their little faces, and I almost end up in tears at the end of the bloody show, because I'm like, it's very easy to forget, isn't it, that this is magical for those little ones.
It is, and it's the first form of theatre that children get to see. And I always said to my family, I wished I also, because I think when I was at school, when I was at primary school, I didn't really get to go to a pantomime. I only started to go to a pantomime later on when I was in my teens, and then that's when I started to get a bit of a nick for it and started to love it. But it's the first form of theatre that kids go and see, and it is magical. And and I sometimes think, there's myself, there's another guy, Phil, who plays the comic, and another Phil who plays Hugo, the baddie / kind of funny guy as well. And sometimes we all kind of think, I'm used to it now, but because they're not used to it before, they kind of go, well, I don't understand why the kids don't laugh at my jokes. They should do. And it's like, they don't get it, but they actually sit and listen, and they actually enjoy the story, and they do know when to shout the things that they need to do, which is good. So it is a hard one. A school show is really hard, but you have to. I know as a dame and a comic, you do have to kind of plough through it, because sometimes you can get a little bit lost. As you know, we can be the people that can ad lib and do what we like. We are important characters, but we're not like a Belle or a Cinderella or a prince that has to keep driving that story through.
Yeah, completely. And we had 3 weeks of school shows, Leon, which were wonderful. But I have to say, the joy of having, like the family, the slightly older audience in for a dame, it's like all those double entendres are hitting. It's lovely. And, it's just good fun, isn't it? But the schedule's tough, my goodness. But we're keeping fit. We're doing well. We're drinking the water. We're steaming. And your reviews, Leon, I've got one here. A dame for the history books. It's like I'm chatting to Judi Dench.
You're welcome. Oh, no, it's lovely.
You must be very proud, though.
I am. Every year, I try not to read the reviews, and, I like to just hope that I think this is, how many years? This is my 19th year as Dame. And I think every year I go to a venue and I just hope that they open me with welcome arms, and just receive my dame. My dame has not changed. She's been the same dame since, 19 years ago. Obviously, I learn new things every year because I meet a new comic or a new person on stage with them, a new director, creative team, etc. But my dame has always stayed the same.
Yeah, and what I find is that, when I started my dame, it's probably taken me definitely one season as dame to sort of, maybe I haven't even now after, midway through my second season, but it's finding your dame, isn't it? Finding what fits for you, because, it's not a drag act. They're real people, aren't they? They've got heart and they're joyous characters, aren't they? And it's lovely when you just feel, right, I think I've kind of got her now,
Absolutely, it is. And for me as dame, I remember, as I say, when I was at primary school, I didn't get to see panto. So when I went a bit older, my mum started me to go and see the Manchester Palace or the Opera House pantomimes, where we had Ken Dodd, Les Dawson, all these great comics who sadly are not here anymore. But I started to watch. I was brought up with things like New Faces, Are You Being Served? All these old It Ain't Half Hot Mum, all these great shows, and the good old days. I loved all that. My mum's dad was into all this variety, the role, and then I started to then incorporate things like looking at Arthur Askey and Les Dawson and Barry Howard and John Inman. The list is endless, and Mrs. Slocum, of course, is a big part of mine as well from Are You Being Served, which is just brilliant. And being a northerner as well, I do feel like we have that really good northern humour. I think it's so fun, and I think a lot of people get that. And I always find when you do panto, if you are in more of a northern venue, they do receive you better than if you are down south. They do get it, but they do have to have a moment of going. Whereas in the north, we say it as it is. We are what we are, but they do love it.
And Manchester audiences especially are so fantastic. But you're dead right. I remember seeing Les Dawson in panto in Birmingham, and the Brummies enjoy themselves. They have great characters in Birmingham, but to see the likes of Les Dawson in Birmingham, some, Barry Howard I saw as well, like you did, Leon, sort of Heidi High, and, that world of variety. It was magical for me growing up. Did you find that as well, thinking, I'd quite like to do this in my life?
Yeah, I did. I watched and I thought, oh my God, like these. And also as well, I always remembered these people are always a man in a dress. And I think for me personally, that's something that I always want people to remember. Yes, my dame is very glamorous. She does wear a full face like Daniel LaRue as well, all the types of dames. But I always do think you have to remember that it is a man in a dress. Even though I wear heels, I don't wear Doc Martens. That's my personal preference for my dame. I do always wear a heel. And I'm the same as you, Ben. You're taller than me. I think I'm 6'2". You must be 6'4", 6'5". So
6'6", yeah, 6'6".
So getting through a door is difficult, isn't it? But it is. I did watch the dames and I thought, this is exciting. And I was looking back at the audiences at a younger age going, they're laughing at that. That's really fun. I want it. And then I just started it, and then here we are.
Yeah, we must be giant. We must be the two tallest dames, I'm sure. It was funny. My opening headdress, Leon. It's got I'm playing Widow Twanky in Aladdin, so I've got a washing machine, literally one of those baby washing machines on top of my turban. And the other day, I just completely forgot the height of me and walked through into the wings, and I saw this baby Zanussi just flying. I was like, oh my God. And I think I had the whole wardrobe department watching my opening sort of monologue, praying it didn't fall off again. But yeah, the dangers of it's bad enough without a headdress on. I still walk into door frames. It's a nightmare. I'm the Peter Crouch of Pantomime Dames, Leon. But I have to say, so already we are like 15 minutes into our chat. I feel so happy talking to you. I first met you, Leon. It must have been 2010, 2011, and we were up for the cast change of Shrek, which then I think was still at Drury Lane. We were in Pineapple and we were tapping away, my goodness, and we had such a giggle. It was a really fun audition, and it felt like I'd worked with you before. It was like one of those weird connections where I was like, this guy's so friendly, so supportive, so kind, and I just want to thank you for that, because you're just such a nice guy to meet.
Oh, likewise, honestly, likewise. And I think for me, when you go into those musical theatre auditions, I never go into a dance call because the fear of anxiety would be horrendous. I'm always in for a movement call. So yeah. I think when we all go into those calls as movement people, it is that kind of thing that we're all like, everyone knows. It's like, we've got this, guys, we've got this, we have this, but we do. And I think, yeah, and we help each other out, and it actually becomes a really fun day because we all, let's be honest, in the world of musical theatre, it is. You can do your singing rounds, then you have a movement call, and as soon as your agent goes, you've got a movement call, you go, oh no, I go, here we go again, and but you get there, and everyone is there, and everyone's so welcoming and amazing, and as you was as well, and it was like, yeah, we've got this.
You were so kind. I just wondered, Leon, does that kind of stem from your family, would you say, that kind of inbuilt kindness? Because you post daily mantras on socials, which I love, and sometimes you see some of those and it's like, no, that doesn't quite read, but every single one you post I love, and it's like I can tell we're of the same ilk, where it's important to make people feel happy, to spread that little bit of joy each day if you can, because you just don't know what difference that can make. Would you say that's kind of like from your family?
Yeah, my mom, absolutely. My mom has always been one of these people, she's worked for the NHS, and she's always, she's had some hard times coming, and certainly with COVID. She was working throughout the whole of COVID. So, she has always been a person. My mum is a warrior. She is my saviour, my saving grace in life. She's incredible. And she always speaks positivity, always. Even if she's had a really hard day, there's always one line that I go, Mum, that's really nice. That's so caring. That's lovely to hear that. And it may not be about me. It might be about my family or someone she's just seen in the street. My mum's like, honestly, and also part of my day is my mum as well. Because, she is that northern person who opens the net curtains and who's that in the street? Oh, I've not seen that before. What's she doing? Oh, that's interesting. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing as well. So, but yeah, and to be fair, I think how it really started, I was doing Aladdin in the West End, and I used to get on the tube, and there was one of the tubes used to just have Thought of the Days. And, you'd always just rush to the tube. You know what it's like in London. You rush into the tube and you get there and it's just look and go, oh, and read that and think, that's really nice, that. Really nice. And there was sometimes it didn't resonate with me, but I would still go, oh, that's really cool. And then I just started to think about things and, how I was feeling. And then I started to just write some of my own stuff. Some things are not mine. Some things are from Jay Shetty or lots of other people, which is great. And, I don't do it for attention. I do it because it's nice to spread a bit of joy. And whether it be, I do it every day. And I don't expect people to message me back. It's not for that. And people do message me back and say, I really needed that today. And that's really lovely. But I just put it on because I just think, why not? Spread a bit of kindness. The world is a hard world. It's getting harder. Not just in the world, the industry that we do, in the world of panto, in the world of musicals, in the world of anything, everyday life, whether it's the industry of what we do or in an office or in a building site or selling caravans or whatever. We just have to just keep spreading love and joy. It's important. We have to.
Yeah, completely, Leon. And I find that as well. And when I first started the podcast, the whole point was that, through being alcohol-free, that I wanted to spread just how much I was enjoying life more, how important life is, how kindness is, how friendliness. And initially I almost felt a bit guilty of trying to spread this message, be it, a little post each week. I do a Wednesday appreciation post from the podcast, socials, and I was thinking, but I was like, you know what? Because spreading joy is so important, and why can't we? That's what more people should be doing this,
And there are people, I think, as well, obviously, who have been into alcohol, and that post probably, as your posts are really inspiring, and it probably helps a lot of people who have been really struggling and thinking, actually, I could do with an extra drink, or I shouldn't, and they listen to you, and I think it's really inspiring as well. So, well done, Ben. Honestly, I think it's incredible. It really is.
And there's something wonderful about mums, isn't there? My mum, she's had a very tough year. They're so supportive, aren't they? And did you have that growing up, where your mum was encouraging about you going into the business? Could she see that, yes, this is going to be Leon's kind of role in life, to entertain, to make people happy within the theatre, within TV?
Yeah, absolutely. She was always like, you do what you want to do, you do what makes you happy. And I think, as we all do when we're children, I wanted to be a fireman, a butcher, a baker, a candlestick maker, you name it. I wanted to be everything. But my mum was like, you do what makes you happy. And funnily enough, actually, my sister, who's older than me, a few years older than me, my dad used to take us both to a dance school, and I didn't want to do it. I was like, oh, God. Hence why I'm in a mover's call still now, as I say. Honestly, I'll never go any further. And my sister thrived in dancing. She loved it. She was the dancer, and I was just standing back being like, I just want some Doritos. I don't want to be here. I just want to eat crisps and ice cream and just go home and watch Power Rangers. And she did really well, and then she gave up, and I really enjoyed it. And my mum was quite surprised, actually. But because she knew that I was coming home and I started to enjoy it more, she was like, actually, just keep doing it. But she's never been a pushy mum. And, she's not a pushy person at all. She's great, and she's always supported me through a lot, and she's honestly the most incredible human being on the planet.
Oh, she sounds amazing, Leon. Please wish her a happy Christmas. Another super mum by the sounds of it.
Yes, she is. She is a super mum. And every year she goes, don't buy me anything for Christmas. I just want a card. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then I show her so many gifts, and yeah. And then she
Ah,
goes mad, but then if she doesn't like something, she'll go, oh, I don't, it's not really for me, that. I don't know if that's an age thing
yeah,
now, because as I get older, I'm a bit like, I don't think I do that. Oh, I don't really want that. Oh, that's not really for me. Oh, no, I'm all right. I'll pass on that. You kind of just, you kind of
yeah.
just don't take as much rubbish anymore, do you,
Yeah.
Michelle?
No, I think you're right. I completely find that. It's like, if I don't want to do something, I'll say it because I value kind of my happiness and my downtime, my peace and quiet. And yeah, likewise, I'd rather just say and be upfront. Then the problem's lost, isn't it?
And Christmas Day for me is great because people say, oh, are you excited about your presents? I'm like, I just want a day off. I want to be at home with my family in my pajamas, eat everything in sight, watch all the lovely Christmas films that we see every year, but I still love it, and just switch off. And it's the best day ever.
Oh gosh, yeah. I love it. We've had probably about 4 days off so far in the run, Leon, and I get my bits and bobs done. Sainsbury's run in the morning. Then I'm on the sofa. I'm under a blanket. I'm watching a naff Christmas movie. I am eating for England, and usually I have a little siesta, and it's bliss. And you get back recharged because you need that, don't you?
You do, you do. Honestly, I do try to sleep in between shows, but the theatre here at the Grand Opera House in York is quite small backstage. It's very small, in fact. In the dressing room, there's not many dressing rooms. Thankfully, I've got my own, but that's purely not because of being a diva. It's just because a lot of my wardrobe is in there with my wigs. So, and also I keep my door
Yeah.
open and everyone comes past, and I've got the kettle there, mince pies. It's like the gossip staff room, which is lovely. I like that because it keeps me sane, it keeps me happy, it keeps us going because we all come in and we all have, interesting mornings, and you don't know what's happened to that person the night before, or so it's
Oh,
nice that we all come and have a good old gossip, and then we get to warm up, and it's just we're all then in the same safe space, and it's nice
yeah.
to have that. But yeah, I do try to have a little nap.
I'm going to pitch to Channel 5, I think, a programme where it's like SAS Who Dares Wins, but actors sleeping in random dressing rooms because there's a skill to it, isn't there? I'm 6'6", as we said, and I can like concertina up anywhere and sleep on like a random dressing room floor. It's crazy.
And you know what I find really funny as well in Panto? I always find the crew have the best spots to sleep. Even here, they've got like sofas on the fly floor, and I'm like, how have you got that? I haven't even got
Right.
anything.
I've got an image of you and your slingbacks climbing up the fly tower to get a snooze.
It'd be like King Kong. They'd literally run a mile, honestly. It'd be crazy.
You never know, they might like it. You mention spreading joy, Leon, and the joy that gives you. And between contracts, it's lovely, isn't it, just to have that balance where, because it can be tough, can't it, those dips between theatre contracts. And I just wonder what you have in place. Is it family? Is it friends? Is it? Do you have certain hobbies where it just keeps you a nice balanced level, and the reality of there is going to be a little dip every so often?
Of course, and I've been doing this industry now for what, 20, 21 years now? Probably the same, to be fair now. And of course, I mean, since COVID's hit, it's been a really, really hard few years, It's lovely to do, I'm very fortunate to have done a lot of West End musical theatres as yourself, and tours and, arena shows, and it's great. And for me, even personally, now as I get older, I say to myself, well, actually, I wouldn't want to do a year in London right now. I want to kind of do more of a smaller contract because it's nice to do those as well and have a break and see the family, as you mentioned, see my friends, because I don't get to see my friends very often in the north. Well, I do more now because I moved back there, but it's just nice to just call them and say, let's go for a cuppa in M&S Cafe. It's lovely, and it's those are the things that are really important to me. I love those. My friend Laura and Carol, we just do that. It's just really, really lovely. But yeah, and I have a big park where I live, and every morning I get up and I go for a 2-hour walk every day, and it gets my steps in and it clears my head, and I can catch my voice notes, and I listen to a podcast, listen to music, or just walk in silence. And those are the things for me, and I find now are so important.
Yeah. That's so interestingly, unlike a lot of my guests in Series 1 of Benjy's Cafe, really, really enthuse about the importance of a morning walk, just starting your day, having that peace and quiet to process, to decompress if it's a walk at the end of the day. And it's lovely, isn't it? And the beauty is it doesn't cost a thing. And if you can pop in a couple of hellos to strangers, it's just, you get a lot back from it, don't you? But it's that peace and calm and just having a bit of time to yourself that I certainly love.
Absolutely. And I've met so many random people in the park now as well. Most people have dogs, and I get to see them and I'm catching up, and they're like, how are you? And I get to know a bit of their life. And I think it's really important as well. It's lovely in the industry that we do, in this theatre bubble that we're in, and everything is predominantly about the industry. So it's actually nice to talk to people who are not in the industry and actually talk about normal life. And that is really important as well, because we can get into this world of theatre that is wonderful, but we get caught up in it so much that we forget sometimes our own identity. So it's nice to just speak to people normally and actually go, oh, yeah, what are you doing today? Oh, yeah, how's your dog? And, oh, you did this week. Oh, lovely. That, it's just nice. And next thing you know, it's great. I love that. I really, really love it. It's fantastic.
You mentioned Disney's Aladdin. My goodness, I remember the cast coming out and seeing your name on it. I was like, yes, 100%, you are right for this show. How was that going to such a big, Casey Nicholaw, Tony Award-winning director, opening at the Prince Edward in London? Was that a wonderful experience for you, or do you get more, would you say, from going in and creating a part as you did in Dreams at Leeds Playhouse? Are they kind of different experiences?
Yeah, really different. I think what was amazing was I was doing Little Shop of Horrors, actually. I was doing the voice of the plant, and I remember my agent calling me and saying, Disney's Aladdin's coming over. And obviously prior to that, I'd seen James Monroe Iglehart, who created the role on Broadway, win the Tony for it. And I was thinking, it's one of them roles, because I'm a very specific niche, as you are. As we get older, you become more of a specific niche. And I remember looking at that role going, I have to get this. If I don't get this, I'm giving up the business. That is me. I'm done. Yeah, and it was a nice process. It was lovely. The team were incredible. And what it's like. You can work with Americans, and they're very regimented in what they say. They have a very certain way that they deal with things that's very different on Broadway to how they do it in the UK. And the process was so much fun. It was so much fun. I used to come in every audition. I'd go in on the Thursday, and I would get the call from my agent on the Friday to say I was back in the following Thursday, and I was coming from Manchester every week for it. As I was getting closer and closer, I thought, oh gosh, this could be... And as you do as performers, as you get closer to the finals, you start planning your life. Well, I can buy this, and I can do that, and I can go on this holiday, I can do that, and I can do this. And you think of all these things, don't you? And thankfully, it did turn out great. And I got the call from my agent, and I was like, I've never worked for Disney before, so... And all I'd heard was incredible things, and obviously I think everybody saw Lion King, and obviously back in the day Beauty and the Beast when it was in the Apollo, and it was just incredible. So to do that, it was amazing, and I would have to say it's probably the hardest theatre job I've ever done. But I absolutely loved it, and again for that, you become an athlete. Especially when I was on for Genie, for people who saw the show, Friend Like Me is. As soon as you start that scene into the song, it's probably like a 12-13 minute number. And I had to go to the gym every day, and I went on a treadmill and I ran every day. And I had to just sing it and sing it and sing it, because I had to get that physically in my body. It was a killer, it really was. But the triumph and the end of that number, and the audience used to get on their feet and go crazy. And I used to get really, even now I've got goose pimples. No joke, I've literally got goose pimples. And even now, I used to get so emotional. The first show I did, I thought, oh my God, you've got to keep it together. You've got to keep it together, because as soon as you finish the number, you have a little bit of a play, and then you continue into the next scene with Aladdin and the Genie. So you've got to keep going. But that was amazing. I loved it. But again, the nice thing about what Disney did with that show for me is I could create my own Genie, what Trevor Dion Nicholas did, who played the role here. There is a premise of what you've got to be in, but they were really open about me creating my little bit as well, which was really nice. And I think certainly Panto helped, because a lot of people thought Aladdin, the musical, was a Panto, and it's not. Of course, it's a musical. But certainly doing Dame, having that rapport with an audience and being able to understand, and I think they got me a lot more as well, being more of, even though I'm doing an American accent, they think they just got more of the because I added a bit of the northern humour into it as well, which was great. So yeah, I got to create that. But in Dreams was incredible, because I got to create that from scratch, and I absolutely loved it. And you don't get to do that very often. And when you get that, and when a part is so good, when I got the call from Luke Shepherd, who was the director, who's directed lots of great things now over the last year and more, and we had a Zoom call, and I got the job because I'd auditioned for him for previous jobs, and I went to the rehearsal room. I read the script anyway, and I was just like, this is so much fun. This is a great show. And to build a character and then to do the show, and I would love and hope it returns, because we were lucky to do it in Leeds and then go to Toronto with it as well. So it would be great for it to come back. It's got a special place in my heart, that really does. And Ben, you've done shows yourself, so that's got a special place in my heart.
There are some shows where you've just got a wonderful mix of people who just get on, good prose, kind, and it's just joyous, isn't it? And it sounds like that was the case within Dreams. I'm working with Mark Peachy, who's my love interest. He's the Emperor, and I'm Valerie Twanky, as I call her. But he was in Dreams, and likewise, he really enthuses about that production, just about the group of people, and not just the content of the piece, but just the fun that you all had. It sounded lovely, and especially go to Toronto. Was that mad?
Oh, it was great. It was so good. And I remember when getting the contract through, and I remember my agent saying, "Oh, by the way, you're going to Toronto as well." And I was like, "Oh, amazing." Like, it was great. I was busy. I was so busy. It was never been. And I thought, how lovely. And the nice thing about that show as well is majority of us were in our 30s, 40s upwards. So it was nice to have a cast of older people as well, which is great. And seasoned people. It was just great. And we knew then that we were going to Toronto with the show. So everyone's leaving their partners and families, etc. So it was like we were all a really tight group. So, there was a lot of emotions flying around because people were really missing family and friends and the time difference. So it was nice that we could all stick together and work together as a team, and we did. We had a great time. And Mark, Mark was my love interest, funnily enough, in the show. He was obviously...
Is he too timing me? I'm going to have a word with him when I get to work. But he's a great guy. Mark's brilliant. I love that. In our panto here in Mansfield at the Palace, we've got, there's probably four of us. James, who's Abinaza. But, we're all a bit older and, hopefully as well, we're helping each other because being away from home is hard and loved ones and, Mark's got children, Adam's got children, the comic. And hopefully, what is lovely, that because we're just pros, we're getting on with it, we're having fun, nothing's too much of a drama, which is bliss over Christmas. But hopefully, one hopes that the younger members of the cast kind of begin to learn a few of those kind of positive little traits as they embark on their career. Were there any people that you worked with in your formative years, Leon, that you thought, they're cool, I want to be like that?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I was very lucky. I left drama school and I went straight into a musical in the West End called Jerry Spring the Opera as one of the leads, and I was 21 and I was petrified. I was like, oh my gosh, and at drama school, they were, back then, it was when did we go to drama school? Maybe 2000s, 2000. But so I remember doing that job and I was petrified. But at the same time, I didn't say boo to a goose. And I put my head in my book and I worked so hard. And we had people like David Badella, who I knew of, Alison, just unbelievable. David Soul, the original Starsky from Starsky and Hutch, as Jerry Springer. So incredible. God, everyone was. And again, a lot of these people were a lot older than me, and I was 21. So to have these people come in were just, God, I just literally sat around thinking. Back then, we all had dictaphones. Remember the dictaphones we used to have? We'd all sit there.
Oh my God! Yeah, we're going back. My goodness.
Yeah. And everybody, because it was, and there were people my age and older and a lot older. And obviously, I was obsessed with Alison Jaya. So when she used to sing, I just want to dance. Like, I used to literally have a dictaphone, and I'd be like, we'd all play in rehearsals, and she'd be like, oh, I'm just going to sing it just a bit quiet. And then we'd be in rehearsals, and she'd go full out, and I'd be like, but yeah, incredible. And the nicest thing is when they're a lovely person as well, makes life even better. And funnily enough, Alison Jaya, I haven't seen her for a very long time. And the last time I saw her, funnily enough, was this year when I was auditioning for the new musical Titanic. We were in the movement call together. And the nice thing is, I hadn't seen her, and we walked into the movement call, and she was there, and it was like, oh my God. And it was lovely. There was me, there was Liam Tamney, there was Rob Houchin, there was all these lovely people in the room that we've not seen for a long time. Yeah. And it's like, guys, and you go, this is lovely. And we just had a scream.
Yeah. It's a lovely warm feeling, isn't it, when you bump into people you've worked with who are just lovely. That's fantastic. I love that.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you as well, you were Sandra Bullock, Leon, in Everybody's Talking About Jamie. That's a show that, gosh, I was in floods of tears. The relationship of Jamie with his mother, and I'm so close to my mum as you are to your mum. But that's an important show, isn't it, about acceptance, love, and, the messaging in that, but also that must have been such a fun part to play too.
It was great, and that's one of the reasons why I took the job. But actually, watching the show, I was heartbroken. The lady, I think she was called Josie, who played the mum.
Josie Walker, I think it was, wasn't it, initially?
Right, yeah, and she was just unbelievable. And the relationship she had with the original Jamie, which I have with my mum, it's great, and about acceptance, and it was just fabulous. And I thought, I have to do this show. I have to do it. And I got the job. So it was, and it was great. It was great doing the West End. We had a really great team of people as well. And then again, I was very lucky. I went to Los Angeles with it. So, it was, I was like, of course I'll go to LA with it. It was great. And again, Roy Haylock, a.k.a. Bianca Del Rio, is one of the nicest, most talented people I have ever worked with. Incredible. Incredible. So funny.
Your passport must be chock-a-block, Leon. You've got Toronto there within dreams, Jamie in Los Angeles.
You know, the nice thing is you can flick through that and go, gosh, I went here, I went there, and it's lovely. I love that. I do.
Well, I'm trying to find Mansfield International Airport to get the stamp for there, Leon, but no joy as yet. Leon, it's Christmas. We're in the middle of a big run of shows, of course. It's Panto, but I just wonder what Christmas means to you. I mean, you're such a level-headed chap, and you live your life beautifully. You're full of joy and happiness and kindness. And is that an important message to spread throughout the year, not just Christmas, would you say? I was going to ask you about New Year's resolutions, but certainly for being alcohol-free as well now. To me, you can make a change in your life at any time, can't you?
You can make a change in your life, and it's just to be happy, to do what makes you happy. You've got to do what makes you. If it doesn't make you happy, don't do it. You know, I always see people in normal jobs, and I know they've worked in their jobs for 20, 30 years, and I get they've got families, and when they have to support, and they've got a mortgage to pay and stuff. But I do honestly say, like, if you're not happy, just don't do it, and make your life to be happy, because sadly this year, people I know that have passed away at an age that shouldn't be the case. And it makes you go, and I always, my motto is live your life. I always say to my friend Laura, she bought me a plaque, funnily enough, actually, recently, and it says live your life. And you have to live your life because you just don't know when it's over. You don't know when your time is up. We're on this planet for a very short time. And as you get older, honestly, my mum always says to me, you just don't know when your time is up. And you've got to embrace it and enjoy it and do what makes you happy. So yeah, and at Christmas, I guess I say, when we're all away working hard, we make everybody's life fun and happy. But you have to just do it, not just for Christmas. You've got to do it 24/7, 365 days a year. You've got to be happy. And if you're not happy, you have to think with yourself and say, what am I not happy about? I'm a man of lists these days. I have a list. Everything I have is a list, whether it's going shopping or appointments or whatever. And honestly,
I love a list.
I'm a journal. I'm thinking, I feel a bit down today. Why do I feel a bit down? I'm going to write that. Oh, I feel a bit fed up today because, I didn't do it, and whatever the case may be. And I write it down. And it's not necessarily what helps me is just writing that down, actually. At the end of the day, waking up the next morning going, I feel better. And that's just because I've written it down, because that needed to be released from me. That didn't mean that I had to be on the telephone to my best friend or to my mum or to, whoever. It just had to be written down and to get out of my body, and it makes me feel so much better.
It's just getting it out of the mind, isn't it? It can swirl around and ferment, and just popping something on a piece of paper. I mean, I love a list. Lenny List, they're going to be calling me. I love it. Now, I know it's your day off today. I'm so grateful of you popping into Benjy's Cafe, Leon. I love to ask all my guests as we approach the end of the chat, this festive chit-chat. What's on the dinner menu? You're gonna get a cheeky takeaway?
Today, funnily enough, actually, I'm off to, because I'm in York, I'm going to Betty's Tea Room.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
I know, I'm just going to raid the shop, really, but no. No, I'm going to Betty's Tea Room, actually. So, my friend David, who plays Clement, the father in the show, who I have to say is just unbelievable. He's 71 and he's still doing pantomime, and he's outstanding. And I have to say, these are the people I look at and go, if I can still do Dame at 71, my gosh, I would be a very blessed. But we're going today. We get on really well. So we're going for an afternoon tea. And then, funnily enough, back in the day, I used to try and go see other pantomimes and support friends. But most shows all seem to be the same times and dates. But funnily enough, we're going to Blackpool tonight to see the Grand Pantomime, because they have an evening.
Amazing.
In the car, a few of us. See Blackpool and then dash back. So.
And
you were there last year, of course, as well.
I was there last year. So, my goodness, you're in for a treat. Steve Royal, Hayley Tamerden, they've both been on the pod. Please send my love. They're a beautiful team there. It's a gorgeous venue. And, oh, my goodness, you're in for a treat.
I can't wait. I'm excited. And, of course, I love the North again. So it's nice to kind of go home a little bit and get some fish and chips as well. So it was nice. I know. Did you have a good time in Blackpool?
Loved it. I was commuting, actually. But it's just a great theatre, beautiful Matcham Theatre, which is wonderful. So lovely backdrop for the show. The show was great, lovely cast, but the audience, again, just embrace it. And to see people have a blooming laugh is joyous.
I think that's what it's about. You can have a really hard year, and to go to Panto and just have 2 hours or 3 hours, just go and have a really good time, and seeing the adults actually being like children is brilliant. I love that. I pick on a man in every show, and honestly, they're petrified of us, as I would be if it was the other way around. And I pick on a man, and I pick on him a lot. But they have the best time, and they'll tweet me afterwards, or they send me a Instagram, or they come to the stage door and they want a picture. They're more excited than the child.
Yeah.
It's great. It's so lovely.
The joy of Panto, the joy of Panto. Well, Leon,
Yeah.
you're off today. Yeah, 2 shows for me today. You've given me so much joy this morning. What a lovely, lovely start to the day. You give joy to an awful lot of people, Leon. The audiences who watch you perform so brilliantly, your friends and family, and many, many others as well. And it's been a joy just to say Happy Christmas. Have a wonderful rest of your run. And thank you for joining me in Benjy's Cafe podcast. Leon, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure to do it, honestly. Thank you. Happy Christmas!
Thanks for listening to the brilliant Leon Craig. Wishing all my wonderful Benjy's Cafe podcast listeners and guests a wonderful Christmas. Remember, 36 smile-inducing episodes to enjoy wherever you get your podcasts. And if you can, please do say hello on the Benjy's Cafe socials, leave a comment, and like and share with your family and friends. Series 2 kicks off in January. More joy, happiness, and kindness on its way. Right, I'm off for a mince pie. I'll get the kettle on. Merry Christmas.